Well, spring is upon us, and that marks the start of the first hunting season in America, turkey season. Before you get too excited about turkey hunting, be mindful that it's more complicated than deer or something like quail hunting. If you're really impatient, turkey hunting will also frustrate you. You have to be very patient. You need specialized equipment, specialized ammo and choke tubes, and the knowledge of how to find turkeys. And you still have to call them in once you find them. But trust me, once you call in your first tom, you're going to be hooked for life. Wild turkeys currently exist in 49 states, basically every state except Alaska. And depending on where you live, you'll be hunting one of 5 subspecies within the United States. The eastern wild turkey lives in every state east of the Mississippi and in Canada. This is the stereotypical gobbler with a long beard and a big voice. These are big turkeys that are pretty challenging to call in. Next, we have the Osceola, or Florida wild turkey. This turkey is only found in the state of Florida, but within their small range, they maintain stable populations. This is a smaller turkey with just beautiful green hues. The Osceola turkey is famous for being very wary and very difficult to call in. The Rio Grande wild turkey inhabits Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma, the entire Southwest, and more than half the state of California. It's also found on most of the Hawaiian Islands. As long as you don't disturb their roost once you find them, these turkeys are the easiest turkey to call in probably. These turkeys also seem to form much bigger groups than other turkeys that I've seen. The Merriam's wild turkey, also known as the mountain turkey or the Rocky Mountain turkey, lives in colder climates. You could find them on almost any western mountain range and in the northern plain states as well. These birds live more solitary lives, so they're the hardest turkeys to find in my opinion, and their weak gobble makes things even more difficult. Although these are big turkeys, they have short beards and usually small spurs as well. And lastly, we have the Gold's wild turkey. The Gold's turkey is a desert dweller primarily, although it lives in the mountainous regions of Mexico as well. This is the rarest American turkey, and you can only find them in the states of Arizona and New Mexico. And both states are fiercely protective of these turkeys. Only a handful of tags are available every year, and your chances of holding $1 million lottery ticket are greater than your chances of being able to hunt a Gold's turkey in the United States. So most people travel to Mexico to hunt this turkey. I'm lucky enough to live in a county that has healthy populations of both Rio Grande turkeys and Merriam's turkeys on public land. I hunt both and can attest to the fact that Rio Grande turkeys are much easier to find and call than the Merriam's turkeys are. So the particular subspecies that you're hunting will play a factor in your tactics and your success rate when you're hunting turkeys. Also be mindful that some turkeys have become comfortable around humans, and this is especially true on private property. These birds are very easy to hunt and don't represent turkeys that you'll find in more wild places on public land. And this is also self-explanatory, but you should know the difference between a hen, a jake, and a tom. Basically, a hen is a female turkey, a jake is a juvenile male turkey, and a tom is a fully mature adult male turkey. And you need to know the difference between these three because turkey hunting regulations will pertain to what's legal to shoot at a given type of year. And turkey hunting regulations vary greatly by state. In my home state of California, during the fall turkey season, we're allowed to hunt either sex. But in the spring season, we're only allowed to hunt bearded turkeys. But, this is up to debate too, because some hens are freaks and they have beards, and I've even seen hens with long spurs on them too. So you have to be able to identify a male turkey. The first rule of turkey hunting is that you will not get a turkey if you're hunting in an area where there are no turkeys. It seems obvious, but new hunters regularly make this mistake. Generally, people know where the turkeys are at, either by word of mouth or they do their own scouting and find turkeys themselves. Just because turkeys were in an area last season doesn't mean that they're going to be there again. I mean, the habitat or water or food sources might not be there anymore, or there just might be additional human pressure there and they leave that area. I also look for fresh strut marks in the dirt when I'm hunting in the spring, and that's a good sign that tom turkey's around. Strut marks. Roosts are just trees that turkeys sleep in. When I scout, I go out right at sunset and start working my box call and maybe ripping off a crow call. And the toms on the roost might respond. And if they do, you'll know where they're at. Then you can return in the morning and hunt that turkey. If you find a roost, just be sure that you don't approach or disturb that roost. If you do that, they'll change spots on you. So before the sun comes up, you'll sneak in and set up your decoys a short distance from that roost that you found and attempt to call in a tom at first light. And that's how I locate turkeys. In addition to that, in the state where I live, the highest concentrations of wild turkeys are on private land, and I assume that's the same way everywhere. And on private land, there's always a reliable food or water source usually, but you can use this to your advantage. Download an app like the Onyx Hunting app to your phone, and you could find public land that borders right on private land that contains turkeys. And you guessed it, you can actually call toms off of private land and onto public land where you can legally harvest them. Just make sure that you aren't shooting onto private property when you shoot your turkeys, which is illegal in most states. And lastly, a good set of binoculars are almost mandatory for locating turkeys when you're scouting, especially, particularly when you're looking for roosts. In general, there's two ways to hunt turkeys. The first method is by calling them in to a decoy spread that you set up. And this involves setting up a position overlooking your decoys. And the position can be as elaborate as a fancy ground blind or as primitive as just sitting up against a tree, which is what I usually do. Once the decoys are set up and you're in position, you could call the turkeys to you. This method of hunting is the most effective way to bag a turkey, but it generally only works good during the spring season when the turkeys are breeding. The second method to hunt turkeys is to still hunt or spot and stalk turkeys on foot with no decoys. This is exactly like deer hunting, except you don't have to worry about the wind. The only problem is deer have bad eyesight and turkeys have exceptional eyes, so it isn't as easy as it seems. Chasing turkeys on foot is normal during the fall season when they're hard to call in, but sometimes the toms might be henned up really bad in the springtime too, and you might have to ditch the decoys and go after them on foot. As the viewers of my channel know, I'm not a huge believer in camouflage when it comes to animals like deer, elk, pigs, and African game. But the one time I'll tell you to always wear good camo is when you're turkey hunting. A turkey's sense of smell is almost non-existent, so don't worry about your scent. Turkeys do have great hearing when it comes to low frequency sound, but not exceptional hearing like most mammals do. A turkey's biggest asset is their eyes. In fact, a turkey's vision is incredible. Turkeys can pick out tiny details or the slightest movement. If you have a camo hat with like a little logo or something on it, that's enough to actually spook a turkey in my experience. So 99% of the time when you get busted, it's because a turkey identified something about you that seems unnatural or it saw movement. You need to pick a camo pattern that matches the environment you'll be hunting in. Also, I find it important to cover my face with a mask and even my hands with gloves. And I think using a camo shotgun or a camouflage bow really helps for turkey hunting too. A staple of turkey hunting is the turkey vest. A good vest will have pockets for your calls or some spare ammo for you. Some turkey vests are minimalist, and those are great if you're hunting out of a ground blind or somewhere kind of close to your truck. The minimalist vests are also ideal if you're sitting in a chair while you're turkey hunting. But if you plan to hike back into the woods to hunt, then a full-featured turkey vest is almost mandatory in my opinion. A full-featured vest will have a fold-down seat because, you won't be lugging a chair around when you're hiking around in the woods. And some of these seats actually have metal legs and stuff that fold out and actually turn into a chair that you sit on the ground. I don't know whether or not that's mandatory, but I'll tell you what, having a nice cushion to sit on while you're leaning up against a tree is actually a godsend when you're in the woods. I also think that I like these full-featured, full-size vests because they always have these big, deep, expanding back pockets or back pouches, so you could carry a decoy or two in them. In addition to carrying your calls and ammo, a full-featured vest also should allow you to carry a little bit of food and water on you while you're hunting, especially if you're hiking back into the woods. If springtime is really hot where you're hunting, which sometimes it is where I'm at, a mesh back is also a very welcome feature on your turkey vest. In this video, I'm not going to teach you how to use a turkey call. You have to do that research on your own. But I will explain the different types of calls that I personally use. The turkey calls I use are locator calls, pot calls, box calls, and diaphragm or mouth calls. A locator call is something I use to kind of get a shock gobble or to shock a tom into giving away his position to me. It works particularly well very early or very late when they're getting ready to get on or off the roost. A crow call works the best where I live. I use box calls to get distant turkeys to gobble at me. The sound of a box call travels really far. So when I'm trying to locate turkeys, the box call is my favorite tool for that. Once I get a distant tom interested in me, I'll use my pot calls and use subtle yelps, clucks, cuts, and purrs to really get them going. And once I get that turkey close, I'll use a mouth call so I can remain motionless and keep my hands on my shotgun as the turkey approaches my spread. There's just way too many types of turkey decoys to fit in this video, so I'll just explain what I currently use and why I currently use it. I currently use Avian X turkey decoys, and I really like the breeder hen, the feeder hen, and even the laydown hen. These are in a category of decoys called inflatable decoys, and they look full-featured and realistic, but these could be aired down and compressed, so you could comfortably carry a couple of these in the back of your turkey vest. When you set these up on their little leg posts like this, let's get back a little bit right here. When you set this up like this, they give you a little bit of natural movement, which really entices the toms to come and play. But the downside to these decoys is that they're expensive. They're probably the most expensive type of turkey decoy you can buy. And, you know, they can leak if the valve gets damaged, and I've seen that happen too. But most shotgun hunters set up their decoys in an open area about 15 to 25 yards from their shooting position. But I usually set up my decoys 20 to 25 yards so their attention is focused a little bit further away on the decoys rather than on me. In this video, I won't talk about hunting turkeys with a bow or with an air rifle, which is a legal method to take in many states. We'll talk about shotgun hunting for turkeys in this video, and you'll want a 12-16 or even a 20 gauge shotgun these days with modern ammunition is okay for turkey hunting, in my opinion. Even with TSS, I'm sorry guys, I try to stay away from the 410. I've seen bad things happen even with good shot placement with the 410. So I know a lot of you out there hunt turkeys with it, even with TSS, but I'm not going to recommend it. I like, honestly, to put a lot of shot and a lot of power on that turkey's head and neck. So I like a 12 gauge for turkeys, even though I'm a big 20 gauge guy. But with the newer TSS loads, the 20 gauge has become a fantastic turkey gun, in my opinion, with TSS. I used to hunt turkeys with a pump action shotgun, and I did that for decades, but I've really grown to love the semi-autos more for turkey hunting. You know, there've been a couple of times where I needed that really quick second shot, and the semi-auto does that. A semi-auto also has less recoil, which helps when you're using those heavy Magnum turkey loads, and when you're in that position where you're kind of holding the gun awkwardly while you're leaning back against a tree. So I appreciate the lessened recoil that a semi-auto shotgun provides. I also love a red dot optic on my turkey shotgun. You know, when you hunt flying birds, like you're out upland hunting, you point a shotgun. You do not aim it. But when you're turkey hunting, you're actually taking a precisely aimed shot, and a red dot is multiple times better for that than a bead on the end of your shotgun barrel. And let's be honest here, heavy turkey shot usually doesn't have the exact point of aim, point of impact when you use the bead on your shotgun as an aiming device. So using a red dot optic on your turkey shotgun corrects the point of aim, point of impact issue you're probably going to have when you're using those heavy turkey loads. And since we're talking about a precisely aimed shot at a really small target, you also need a tighter choke, in my opinion. And I find that using a specific turkey choke that patterns good in your shotgun is by far the best way to go. And there's a lot of good commercial turkey chokes out there. My advice is to buy a few of them and test them out with whatever ammo you plan on using. Also, ammunition is very important to killing turkeys. You know, there's some great lead turkey loads out there that have been used for many years to great effect, and they do a great job at a very reasonable price. But if you live in a lead-free state or you hunt in a lead-free area, you're forced to use either bismuth or TSS. I don't like bismuth personally for turkey hunting, and I feel that because of the really tight turkey chokes that we use, the bismuth pellets break apart too easily, and they're fragmented. Most of them, or a lot of them, are fragmented before they even get to the bird. And I've seen this on targets practicing. So TSS is the obvious choice for a lead-free hunting solution, in my opinion, and probably is the deadliest turkey load that money can buy. Yeah, TSS is expensive, but hopefully you only need to fire 2 or 3 shots per season, right? When using a shotgun to turkey hunt, our main goal is to kill the turkey instantly without damaging the breast meat. The only way to do that is to shoot the head and or neck with lots of pellets carrying a good amount of kinetic energy. So that's what we're after. Shooting the body of a turkey in an attempt to hit the heart or the lungs not only destroys the meat, it also usually means that that turkey falls down, gets up, and then starts running after it's shot. And you don't want that. Tom Roster recommended a shot in the neck just below the head, and that kills fantastic, but it doesn't allow much head movement by the turkey during the shot. So a lot of people missed their shots if the turkey's head moved while they aimed in that area. So most modern turkey hunters prefer to aim for the wattle or where the feathers meet the neck skin. And this gives a quick kill, but takes most of the head movement out of the equation. You know, you might get a few stray pellets in the breast meat, but it's the price that you pay for a safer shot. And in this chapter, I'm going to give you some additional tips that will improve your odds of coming home with a turkey this turkey season. First tip, always pattern your shotgun before hunting. I guarantee that 90% of you out there, if you went out right now to the range and shot your turkey loads at 25 yards using nothing but the bead of your shotgun, that your point of aim, point of impact will be off target enough to maybe miss a turkey's neck. You know, a zeroed red dot on your gun solves that issue, and it's one of the reasons I like these. Also, when hunting, turn the ringer and the vibrate function on your cell phone off. Cell phones have saved the lives of thousands of turkeys in this country. If you're hunting close to your truck, also, I often use a turkey chair. It's one of those little low-setting chairs, and it's way more comfortable than sitting on the ground for hours, even on a pad. And lastly, you need to be patient. When you have to sit quietly and motionless for hours while turkey hunting, most children and even some adults just aren't capable of doing that in my experience. So if you can't be patient, turkey hunting might not be for you. There's just nothing in the hunting world quite like watching a lit up Tom come barreling into your decoys with his beard dragging on the ground, pissed off, sexually frustrated, and looking for some action. When you see such a display and make that perfect shot, your friends get annoyed at you because you can't stop telling that story over and over again. This video targets new turkey hunters, and I hope it gives them the basic knowledge and interest to start on their own path. Well, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.